right, I'll do roll call. So Jerry Anderson,
Here.
Carol Hunt.
Here.
Larry Hill.
Here.
Jim Little.
Here.
Rick Sapedi.
Here.
And
Bill
that needs
Duncan.
to be changed, yes. Bill Duncan.
Donetta is excused. Roy Brockton.
Here.
Excellent. Commissioner Freeman.
I'm on your list, but I am here.
Excellent. Has everybody had a chance to look at the previous minutes?
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Commissioner Freeman, you have the floor.
So I'll be brief. First, I wanna thank you for your patience on the moving of the meeting date. We have a 24-hour notice requirement. And the way that works is, Mary has on her computer a reminder to send the meeting notification up to, Tamara and Jennifer in my office. And she has a recurring reminder that quit recurring. So she sent out an email to you all to remind you, but since the recurring reminder wasn't recurring, our team here didn't get the notice out. And per Oregon meeting law, we have to notice 24 hours prior to a meeting. So by the time we figured that out, it was less than 24 hours before the meeting was scheduled. So we barely made the 3 o'clock meeting yesterday for today. So, but again, appreciate your patience. What I wanna say today is first, Merry Christmas. We are in the season of Christmas. We got our tree lit and things are moving towards Christmas quickly here at the courthouse. And that means we're ending the year. And I wanna thank you all for your service this year on this committee and everything else you do in our committee, in our community. This committee is important. It makes it a pleasure as a board of commissioners to do the veterans work because you guys really do the heavy lifting for us. And when you make a recommendation to us, it's easy to accept that recommendation and feel very confident that you're doing what's best for veterans. And that really is nice for us. So thank you for the work you do. And again, Merry Christmas. We're gonna have a good year next year too.
Thank you. Roseburg VA updates. I didn't have any meetings with the VA. Does anybody else have any Roseburg VA updates?
No, they've been hiding again.
We had a laying of the wreath at the VA, which was a new event. And I was quite encouraged by it because we had a good showing. Also, we had a briefing following the event by Director Hall and some of the things that are going on there. And I was encouraged by some of the things he shared with us. One of them was a statement of how a high school person here in Douglas County can actually follow this chart and get educated as far as being a nurse, also some other medical positions that they could hold or achieve without even leaving the county. So they would be able to work here at the VA if they so desired. They didn't have to travel elsewhere to get their education. That chart is laid out. It was very impressive to me. Anyway, I was encouraged by that. And the wreath laying, I think I'm hopeful that that's a yearly thing, because November was Veterans Day. And I know everybody had their green porch light out, right? I did. Anyway, that's all I had on that update. Also, on the next Save the Roseburg VA, could I defer, you've been hearing secondhand information, and now we have the the veterans mouth. Who's the actual leader of that group, and I
Is that
would
Bill?
Yes, I would
All
defer
right,
to him.
we'll
as
call
he-
on him then for that update.
At
If
least
that's-
you got the head of the horse.
Okay. Thank you, that's all I have.
Thanks, Jim.
Yes, sir.
So Bill, can you give us an update on Save the Roseburg VA, please?
Well, we had a good meeting yesterday, which Commissioner Freeman hosted, and a lot of the people here at this table were there. We had a lot of our representatives to help kind of tell us where we're at going into next year. it was promising in a lot of areas. I had another conversation this morning with James McManus back in DC. We're right now in the stage of waiting for the new leadership to take place, but we haven't gave up yet the thing that we still are right in that line for the them to authorize their part of our veterans home. Once we get that veterans home in, we're gonna have 154 more vets that need special care, and we've been, I know Rick and Jim and Commissioner Freeman have been involved for years in this project, and I've only been involved for about the last 2.5 years. But with that goal in mind, we're gonna keep right after them until we get their 65% here and we break ground over here for a 150 bed home. And I am privileged enough, along with a couple other people up here, to attend a monthly meeting with Director Hull. And I get some good things coming out of him. I get some things I'd like to question every once in a while. But I think we're a lot closer than we have been in the past. And I hold out good hopes that sometime in the near future, we have some approval to go forward with the plans before I get to a point where I really need it. I think that's at least 20 years off yet, so. But it's a work in progress, it is.
The perseverance of you all will keep RBA accountable, so thank you for all that work.
Could I add something to that?
Yes,
Also, I'd encourage all of the members to look at the cards that Gwen Best has come up with to hand out to VA folks when we go there for an appointment or whatever. I've been doing that, and boy, that you would be surprised how happy that makes those folks when they read that and say, well, thank you so much. So those cards really mean a lot, I think, and we need to try and encourage our VA employees, the people that work in the trenches. So anyway, I carry a pocket full of them, so.
they're thank you cards, right?
They are thank you cards. They're wonderful cards that she came up with and hands out at the forum meetings, and if anybody's curious about one, I can show them what they look like.
Could I say something? With the current administration going in, and we've seen on the news that there's some appointments to the Department of Defense and to the new Veterans Secretary. Those two people are advocating for more community care. And I'm reading stories about them, and this is extreme, where they're talking about dismantling the VA. And Monday, I'll have a meeting back in Washington DC as a legislative committee member with a national legislative committee member with MOPH. And I don't wanna bring that up if you all think that that's just rumor, or
Oh, with them saying that they're gonna dismantle VA.
yeah, has anyone else heard that?
I have.
I've read it, Military Times had an extensive article on it the other day. Same thing.
And I'm just wondering how that affects the campaign to save the Roseburg VA.
Mary?
Good question. I just was at a National Association of County Veteran Service Officer meeting this morning, and they talked about it, and where there's that part that wants to promote community care, dismantle the VA. There's another part that says they want to enroll 1 million more veterans.
Okay.
That's one or the other.
Yeah, you never know with news, so.
But you also have some areas of the country where veterans prefer to get their health care in the community, and the community has the capacity and resources, sometimes better than what the VA offers. Then you've got areas like this where we don't. So it's, as a policymaker, it becomes very difficult when you have veterans on two different sides of an issue asking you to help them in different ways. So that's an interesting topic.
As far as Douglas County is concerned, and I had this conversation just this morning, is we have had all the facilities right here. We got a huge VA campus here. And we have the facilities to make it work for us here. And I understand what you say, Tim, if you're living in Timbuktu and you have to travel just to see a clinic, you're gonna have different views on it. But I was told this morning that they're not giving up on medicine like this. And I said, well, it's what we perceive when we hear them talking about it, that they're doing that. And it's not the way we want it to do and end up.
Remember, most of what's talked about is really pertains to what goes on the East Coast. Right, so think about the proximity of VA centers on the East Coast, right? They're close. I mean, but there's so many people there, they gotta have them that many. So, and there's also, in those big populated areas, multiple private hospitals and medical systems and things that are out there. So there could be areas of the country where there is too much capacity, right? Where it just doesn't, not enough to make it all work, so it makes sense. So, we in the West really struggle with, kind of we call it the East Coast mentality, that it's just a different place. And I mean, when I tell people that our county is as big as the state of Connecticut, they're like, what? Or they don't understand that. And there's only 120,000 people there? Yeah. It just doesn't, it's strange. So we anytime we're listening to national stuff, most of that is really comes out of the East Coast, kind of East Coast mentality. So it just doesn't work equally across the United States. As lightly populated as we are, think about some of the Montanas and Wyomings and the Dakotas and some of those folks. I mean, even Nevada, except for a couple of population centers, very remote. So it is a different, and Jim and I had this talk over email the other day. When you have administrative changes, administration transitions, there's a bunch of information that flies around and ideas and concepts, but our system of governance is such that it is built to not do the big spikes or the big swings. So to change what you're describing to change literally requires a congressional direction change, right? Somebody just one day isn't gonna say, oh, we're gonna, eliminate half the VA hospitals. That takes Congress. So as much as we need Congress to reinstate this hospital, to do everything you're describing is likely a congressional act, and that doesn't happen quickly.
Yeah, I'd be terrified to have to go out on the Medicare system just because here locally, we definitely prefer the VA. I think that's a general consensus, a majority.
Sure.
But, you consider too, like Tim was saying, that in the East Coast, they have more veterans that are probably going out on the economy, and they enjoy that. But here, like we mentioned in our meeting yesterday, to go over to the emergency room, you're gonna sit there for 8 hours. And we just don't have the capacity to dump a bunch of veterans on the system.
And remember, my first conversation with Mr. McCormick was, he was under the impression that Oregon had 2 hospitals. One of them was in Roseburg.
Yeah.
I says, it's not a hospital, it's an urgent care and it's open 5 days a week.
So he was only off by one.
He was only off by 1.
50% correct.
Or 50%, it's how you look at it.
He's come back easy, okay?
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, thank you for all those comments.
Yeah.
We'll move on to Veteran Forum. Are there any
Carol, you learn
updates?
anything about that?
At the last meeting, we had, Jane from, HIV come and talk to us about Narcan and that reasoning for it and where to get it and stuff, and otherwise it was just a regular meeting. Not much going on. We know about the, laying the wreaths on, coming up on the 14th, which is the biggest, thing that we have going on right now.
Well, I was gonna comment a little bit on the wreaths across America, and it is Saturday.
Yes.
And it is park and ride only and limited parking for disabled. So make sure if you're going to attend it, to use the 3 sites that they have. The 3 locations are West Harvard Shopping Center, Roseburg High School, and Douglas County Fairgrounds in order to get to the event.
1,300 volunteers signed up.
Yes, so that's a lot of coordination.
That is fantastic.
And not enough parking at the cemetery, so make sure you use the park and ride. They start, the busing will begin at 11, every 20 minutes.
Tammy, there's some parking passes being given out by upstairs. Tamara sent that email out. And they'll honor these. I know some of us here are involved in the service.
Yeah, so if you're laying a wreath or speaking or you're a participant, you can get a parking pass. Or you can ride with somebody that has one.
Try to.
About parking at the art center and walking in.
And ceremony starts at 1, so it's record number of wreaths laying, every veteran's cemetery will get a wreath.
Yep.
Every
Tremendous.
grave, so.
Well, it's funny, we won't lay wreaths on the Jewish folks, they'll have a star on theirs.
One
You only have one in the whole thing,
Jewish.
in the whole cemetery?
Wow, that's
Must be on
interesting.
Harvard.
And we know automatically to clean up after the fact.
I feel like I saw that last time. Is it in the new cemetery?
I'm not sure.
I-
Do you know, Mary?
Isn't it Jennifer's husband?
No,
Anyway,
because that was recent. We've always looked for that
Yeah,
one
so-
when we're doing.
so what we'll do is if there is a hole in the photo, we're gonna take some pretty cool photos. Just for the purpose of the photo, we'll be sure and Photoshop that one in so it looks full. So it's a little trick.
See a Star of David,
Yeah, if it's got the Star of David, then you
pass to the next.
pass to the next, yeah.
I'll add to that.
It's Jennifer's
This is the
husband.
first year,
Come up.
we're, oh, sorry.
You're gonna go.
First year that we're dealing with that large of a crowd. And so there's gonna be a learning curve. If you are there and you're able to hear comments from folks, help them understand that this is the first time that we've handled this large of a crowd and logistically, it's and a learning event. We're gonna do far better next year. Ask those folks to give us a little bit of grace as we try and make this a positive experience
Going
for
from
everyone.
like 100 or so normally attend, to, could be as many as 1,500. Right, I mean, a lot of people aren't signing up, they're just gonna show up, so everything logistically that you can think of, including Dan and I shortening our speeches as much as possible to make the focus on getting the wreaths put out, and trying to move through the wreath laying that you all are gonna do, but instead of calling, one branch of the military and wait until it's completely placed, moving through a little quicker, but leaving enough time to video and photo each, right? So you guys have been working on all that. It's all work in progress, and on top of that, there's a very slight chance of rain. So,
90%.
that means 10% chance of
Bring
me
an
not.
umbrella.
Yeah, somewhere. But the way they figure that, there's a big circle and it's anywhere, so if you're not in the circle.
And we only need, an hour or two. I'd be really happy with an hour or two of no rain. We've done it in the rain a lot of times.
Other than worse weather.
Pray for no rain for Saturday.
Here's shuttle run.
They say
20 minutes.
every 20 minutes, starting at 11.
I think in the last shuttle at 12:30,
I would guess yes.
Yeah. I think,
It doesn't say that in
oh, I
the
thought I
notes,
read,
but-
maybe I read that somewhere. Is that wrong? You remember?
Right.
Maybe that's for something different. I read at 12:30 something, but it might have been something different.
I would guess that would be the last bus, that would be. Thank you.
And then they'll run afterwards
To
also to
get
get you back. It's a round trip deal.
Yes. Any other comments on wreaths across America? And VetNet update is my item. I just have a couple announcements of events that are occurring. Source One Serenity does a lot for our veterans in our community. And she has women and men peer groups that meet. And the next women peer group is December 17th, and it's at Forget Me Not Village, which is on Airport Road at 6. The men's next one is not until January, because they just had them on December 5th. She lists the wreaths across America, and I noticed that she had commented that she's supporting that event as well. And the first Thursday is a program that is free for the community with resources from all different organizations, providing housing and homeless services, employment and training programs, children and family services, health and wellness resources, veterans programs, and senior and disability services. It's usually the first Thursday of the month, but in January, it's gonna be the second on January 9th. So I just wanted to make a comment about that. That's all I had for VetNet. Do we have anything for parade, Carol?
All the ribbons and the director's trophy is down at the Veteran Service Office to be picked up by the winners.
The next meeting for us will be in March, so we can kick off the next season already,
I know,
right?
it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah, it is, so that's when we'll start again, is in March.
I believe we have some items on the War Memorial. Rick, did you have
Yes.
some?
Yes, we do. It was brought to my attention that there is a Roseburg High School graduate that is not on the Vietnam Memorial Wall. His name is Mason Burnham. Date of birth 9/1943. Date of death 4/20/72. He was a U.S. Air Force Reserve pilot shot down over Laos. His body was recovered or remains. He was buried in a marker interred in Arlington National Cemetery on 5/25/2000. And so here's a little bit of the history that we probably need to know if we're gonna add him to the wall or to the memorial area. He was born in Oklahoma. He also lived in Salem. He lived in Vancouver, Washington. And he lived in Roseburg before moving to Eugene, where he went to school and graduated from the University of Oregon before he moved to Portland, where he joined the Air Force Reserve. In Eugene, he got his bachelor's degree in 1968. Graduated in 1961 from Roseburg High School. So there's, a 7-year difference there. There's also, I wasn't able to find it, when he actually moved to Douglas County. And I'm gonna ask the Genealogy Society if they can help with that, like looking at the census. But anyway,
How old was he when he joined the military?
so he was, he joined,
Let's see.
let's see. Boy, I don't know. I haven't done the math.
It's 7 years after he graduated.
Definitely older. I think on one of, and I don't know if I brought, oh yeah, I do. Well, definitely wasn't 18. He had a 4-year degree, so he was at least,
Making
22,
22 or 23, yeah.
he was definitely older for sure for a number of people that served. But, the other thing is I wanted to bring up, he was married and lived in Portland. His ex-wife Judy Burnham remarried. He had a daughter, Kimberly. His parents they moved from Douglas County. His father, died in Multnomah County. His mother, is buried at the Silk Coos Cemetery over on the coast by Florence. And his brother, John, died in Kern County, California in a drowning accident. He's memorialized at the Courts of the Missing at the National Memorial Cemetery in the Pacific, which is in Hawaii. And like I said, his remains were recovered and interred in that vault in Arlington National Cemetery. I wrote, it appears at this time that his time in Douglas County was limited and he has no family relations here. His brother John did graduate from Roseburg High in 1964.
So what's the requirement to be on the wall?
Home of record, Douglas County.
Yeah,
If
we
he
wrote,
enlisted up north, his home of record on his initial enlistment would be up north
It's
wherever.
Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, okay.
we wrote guidelines, a number of years ago when the memorial was refurbished. And, you know, you can read through these and it's all home of record, but the question comes to my mind, how do we determine that a person is a Douglas County son or daughter or son? By birth, that's often the case, or the home of record, like Rick has discovered, it could be anywhere in the country. But yet we wanna honor those folks that gave their life for our country. The only key that I see in the guidelines is if a member of the family appeals, if they write an appeal and write the circumstances on why they feel that their loved one should be on the wall. Because we can't make that determination, I don't think ourselves. I don't know. I don't know how other counties do that. How do they determine if they're a county son?
Well, you bring up the case of Ronnie Butler.
Oh, yes.
His parents did petition the commissioners. Ronnie was born in Douglas County, graduated from Sutherland High School, joined the Army, got out of the Army, moved to Salem, lived with his aunt, re-enlisted. And when he died within a few months of going back to Vietnam, his home of record was Marion County. But actually, he is a Douglas County son. And the parents, was maybe his sister.
Sister did.
His sister petitioned and the commissioners approved it.
We had a ceremony and the parents died the next year. Which it was a blessing that we were able to do that.
And is the family members asking for this one, or is it just somebody that knew who we
There
were?
was,
It was at the high school.
Yeah, we was at the high school and there was Terry,
yeah,
from
Terry.
Hyde. I can't remember Terry's last name, but he brought up the issue and he is on our wall. His name is on our wall.
But that's the Oregon casualty.
That's the Oregon Casualty Wall.
Yeah, he's definitely a Oregon.
He did graduate from Roseburg and he was an Oregon resident.
Wow.
But he moved away.
He was, home of record should show Portland, I probably would say.
Almost 10 years.
Very interesting.
So it doesn't sound like we need to add him to the wall, is that what I'm hearing?
We wanna be compassionate.
Well, I would like to maybe defer it till
Get more
the
information.
next meeting, get more information. I'll ask the Genealogy Society if they can find the census that has the family listed, 1960, 1950. And then, find out if maybe there's a way to get a hold of his sister. Not his sister, his daughter, excuse me.
Yeah, the guidelines are It's not vague, but they're not specific on, other than that. And I would ask everybody, how do we determine if a person is a Douglas County son?
And I wanted to go with 25.
My wife is pretty active in the RHS class of 1961. They meet
Oh.
monthly and along with other classes. And I'll take enough information, pass it on to that organization, and they meet a lot.
Well, then she might even.
They
know
might
him.
even have some
She knew,
information. Yeah.
Mason.
Yeah.
All right, we'll table it until our next meeting.
I had at Roseburg High School, when we told them they had 15 graduates at the time that were killed in Vietnam.
Wow.
The way those teachers eulogized them, and I have pictures I'll have to show you, is absolutely beautiful. And then it was brought up to us that there was a 16th Roseburg graduate at the time.
That's the most in any school in Douglas County.
Biggest school.
Can I say one more thing? There was another Vietnam veteran from Riddle who was, he attended Riddle High School. He went like 2 or 3 years there. Terry, told me about him. But he, was not born in Douglas County, and he only lived in Riddle for, he may have graduated, I can't remember, but then he moved away. And, then he joined the military later, and he's not on our wall. And his home of record was somewhere else in Oregon.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Well, I thank Rick for all the work he does on this.
That's getting to be a full-time job for you, Rick. Really is.
I'm gonna have to
When it
renew
gets
my,
really complicated.
I'm gonna have to
Yeah, it's
renew
not
my
just-
ancestry, subscription.
Yes.
We just had to add a man onto our traveling wall because he graduated from where? A major.
Oh, yeah.
He graduated someplace here in Oregon and he enlisted in the Navy right there out of high school. Went there, served his tour, come back, got a degree at Oregon State, went back in the Navy, became a Navy pilot. We shot down the latter years of Vietnam, took him 25 years to find his body. But he definitely proved, because at the time somebody argued, well, his home of record at the time of his death was San Diego because he was based in San Diego. But he was a graduate at high school, Tualatin, I think, or something. Went in the Navy right out of high school. So that made him eligible for it.
That seems very
So,
much different than somebody going to college and moving somewhere else. It's kind of starting a life there and then joining the military.
Yeah.
Maybe not, I mean, it's your guys' decision, but that's why it gets
But
complicated.
it
Plus
came out
they're-
that we added his name. to
Plus,
our
they're
roll.
both MIA, which even complicates it more.
Yeah.
Cause the records aren't there.
Thank you for that research, and we'll talk about it in our next meeting, and hopefully we'll have more information to determine. Unfortunately, it's not black and white, it sounds like, so.
No.
Any other reports from back members? All right.
Right here.
Yes, Larry.
Okay, I understand, and I've been trying to find which podcast it's on from the station over here, that the boys from
What's his name?
Doc Stewart's want to realign themselves with UCC Vice Us. And apparently there were some unkind remarks made about the post and everything. And we've had zero communications with them over the years, except when it comes time to hand. And I was going to contact legal advice on this, see what's up, but I would love to be able to hear what was on the podcast, but I can't find it. I gotta ask somebody over there. But right now, I can understand, they got deep pockets, okay? The grants that we got were set up by Doc Stewart and by those guys back when what they're donating every year was big bucks. But now it's a drop in the bucket, okay? So I can understand when it comes time to spend $1 million to put in new turf in another 6 or 7 years, we can't do it. okay? And I understand Umpqua School is gonna set up their own diamond and track and all that stuff, so I don't see how their affiliation would work there. But there's several ramifications for that action. If that's what they wanna do, we'll be happy to accommodate them in an orderly fashion. Yeah, but they're sending up smoke signals about that. Haven't heard anything else, nobody's approached us about it, just got on the radio,
I gotta go.
broadcast that. I'll see you later. See you
Sorry.
Friday.
Okay, thank you, Carol.
That's all.
Thank you, Lynn. Mary, you're up.
Okay. We had a little puzzle today. A veteran got a retro check of $38,000 and no matter what we figure, he's only entitled to 18,000.
Oh.
So
Typical VA.
spend all the money, yeah.
Oh, no.
Was his name Jim?
What's that?
Was his name Jim?
No.
Oh, I got a call from somebody over that today.
They want their cut
Oh,
of the
well,
38,000.
actually it was
It
a
was
Jim,
Jim, I know.
but I don't know if it's the same Jim.
He just called me to tell me he wouldn't be here for Race Across America. Come into some money.
Okay, so, Reedsport is still really active in that time slot is always filled. People call up and make appointments for, when Reno goes over there. Becky attends the VetNet meetings also, and we have, all been in on Oregon County and Tribal Veteran Service Officer meetings when they have some trainings. They do that about once a month, and then regular meetings also. We're still not sure what's going on with the Veterans Cafe in Riddle because Will from the VA, who was the spearhead for that with Jeannie here, has taken a job that takes him to France or someplace. So he's got a really good thing going, but yeah, so somebody will be replacing him and once that happens, then we'll figure out about getting that going. I did talk to the mayor of Riddle and he was supportive and said he would stop in every once in a while, meet the veterans that are there when the cafe starts up. We went through annual accreditation training in October, end of October. And Darren is now accredited. And that was really good because usually CVSOs don't get accredited in less than a year. But he was really smart, so he was accredited. Went to the Associates of Vietnam Veterans End of Life seminar. That was November 2. And that was well attended and had a lot of clients come into the office from that. Parade was 11/11 and I attend the National Association meetings once a month. So this morning they also talked about in the National Association meeting, they talked about the Dole Act that is the one that encompasses Department of Defense and VA and all of that. And it actually has the CVSO bill in it that maybe we can stop the claim sharks and pension poachers with some legal ramifications for them.
I don't know what other veterans organizations at a national level are supporting it, but American Legion is, that's one of their major legislative efforts. This
We
time.
are too nationally
National Association of County Veteran Service Officers.
So we got some at the national level.
So, and there's also a bill in that package that's called Gerald's bill. And it's about when a veteran is enrolled in the VA and is at end of life and wants to be at home rather than in a facility, and the VA pay for the facility, that they be entitled to the full burial amounts that veterans who die at the VA are entitled to. That's you know, pretty, it equals out. Because choosing to be at home, you're freeing up space at the VA and the lodge and other VA facilities, and saving the VA money when they're paying for the contract in a nursing home or other facility. So it should be an easy thing to pass, but, you know, Congress isn't what we want them to be. So that's that, and we've had some questions about John's service, and Tamara's told me that it's gonna be after the holidays. So they'll be letting everybody know when that is. And the other thing is the VA medical system login for My Healthy Vet, or they changed the name of it, but you can now, when you're logged into that, you can also see your claims updates. So it's kind of encompassed e-benefits into it, so that's a really good thing. And I apologize for the change in the date, but that thing is on the calendar now in 2 places. So.
Was it Outlook calendar?
Outlook, yeah, it dropped that, it dropped another appointment also. And Tamara told me that it dropped a couple of things that she had. When we had an update to Outlook. And after the update happened, there were some things that,
I think we've had
So-
that happen with the VA in our meetings,
Yes,
but they've dropped them too.
oh yeah.
yeah.
There's some glitch in there.
So that's all I have. I sent out a roster so you can check your email, your phone number and all that to make sure it's up to date. And also sent out the your term is up letters that and if you wanna be reappointed. So just get them back and we'll get them to Commissioner Freeman as they come in. And
Any
that's all I have.
Questions for Mary? Thank you, Mary. You guys doing a wonderful job.
Yes.
Any good to the order? Hey,
Okay, I'd like to point out that we oftentimes forget the Elks Lodge here in town and the amount of money that they donate to veterans causes, and the food bank over, and the clothing room, and the things they do. Thanks to Carol with all of the kids over there with Charlie Company, everything else, they're doing a great job, and you can ask me, cause I'm also their representative on that stuff. But they're doing quite a job, and they do have a deep, deep interest in the veteran community nationwide, so just throw that out there for what it's worth.
So we did National Guard resolution today at our board meeting, and we had 9 National Guard Charlie Company active current members in uniform here. We were able to present them with proclamations and challenge coins and wish them well. And also made sure to thank it's Valerie West, Carol Hunt, and one other lady that was with them that are part of the Wings of Love and the Operation Homefront group that is doing what they can to help those that are, those family members that are here while there's members deployed. So kind of an exciting day again for us here. We didn't do an all call of all veterans. It seemed like we just did that last week. So today was focused on the active members from the National Guard.
thank you for all the work that you do for our veterans. I know that you and Commissioner Boyce,
We've got a good team
you
here.
guys have a great
Yep,
team.
happy to do it.
Thank you, yes. I know I'm not supposed to ask for comments, but you can comment.
On behalf of my bride, a board member, the last meeting, she reported that she attended a Source One Serenity meeting. She was lassoed in and now she is a board member of Source One Serenity.
Good for her.
I also wanted to compliment those folks that attended the Save the VA meeting. That was super educational. I really appreciate the way you framed the situation and all the history that you guys expressed there. It was really helpful. I think everybody comes away from that better educated and edified. Commissioner Boyce and John were visiting the schools, educating them about participating in Reach Across America. And they had one more school to visit and John wasn't able to be there, of course. So I filled in this morning with Commissioner Boyce at Geneva Academy and it was well received. And couldn't fill as big a shoes as John had.
But the reports were you did an amazing job.
The other thing is the parade. If you all have helpful feedback, make sure you get back with me and Eric Bagwell so that we can bring that to the next iteration of the parade committee.
Excellent.
Thank you.
One more question for Commissioner Freeman. I meant to ask if I got here earlier or not, but, and forgive me, Mr. Little, if I make the statement I'm about to make, okay?
Let's do it first.
I was in my office today and there was 5 of these sailors around me. And I'm trying to concentrate on the news I'm trying to follow. And, of course, they're trying to teach me how to speak Navy, which I failed. But, I heard what I thought on the news, and is it in the budget, is the military budget, does that cover the VA and everything?
So you all heard me ask the question if the NDAA, which is the National Defense Administration appropriation bill, had state veterans home in it, because one of the comments that I heard is that it has a bunch of right to life stuff in it around TRICARE and what the military will pay for and some of those social issues. So I knew it had some component of healthcare funding in it. And I did get an answer to that today, and the fact is, no, that is not the Veterans Administrative Bill that would have that. This is more the active military. So now there is still, I don't wanna give up complete hope, there are still multiple have to pass bills between now and the end of the year. And I think they're trying to be out of there next week, midweek. So this is how quick this is happening. So there's still, this is from Molly, there's still a commitment to try to find one of those bills to either put the whole package of tier 1 veteran homes across the whole country into, or more strategically, are $65 million. So we'll see. You guys all speak military very well. I apologize for the ones that attended that meeting. I have learned how to speak legislative language. So some of the stuff I was saying, you all might not have got, but the staff did. And that was what I was communicating. So, when we start talking about earmarks or congressionally designated funding or other ways to get things done, there is a bunch of different ways things can happen. And again, Senator Merkley and Senator Wyden currently have a lot of horsepower, being majority senior members, finance and appropriation committee chairs. That changes in January. So, for how long, we don't know, but you're not a chair of a committee if you're not in the majority party. And the other party is gonna be in charge. So we'll see what happens. I haven't given up hope.
In your defense, Jim, I did ask that the limit in our office at any given time of sailors is 4. With the exception of you, you can come in at any given time.
That's about 3 too many.
Shipmate Bill,
What?
shipmate Bill.
Well, I did learn something today. It's not a ship. I mean, it's not a boat, it's, you can't put one on top of the other because it'd sink.
Never a boat is a submarine.
Okay. Man,
Even
you'd
Bill
think
can
I'd learn
talk.
after all these years.
Well, Boston Whalers are both.
Roy, did you have something?
Yeah, Tammy, I just wanted to mention something about Canyonville was this Bergen College of Canine Studies and they were looking for, when they located in Northern California, they couldn't find the right place and the Canyonville Christian Academy was a perfect place and on the fence outside, it says pause for Purple Heart. And we had them come to our American Legion meeting. They brought 2 dogs. They're well trained and the person that was there is responsible for keeping track of 157 dogs around. And they're looking for foster homes for a while before they place a dog. So, there might be some opportunity if you want a dog for a while, but they're so well trained. They had a shelf there and they said pill and they go get the pill bottle and bring it. It's just wonderful.
Wow.
Looks like a wonderful program down there. Most of them is for veterans, but they do some disabled too. But very good program.
Wow.
They will come to a meeting if you want, things like that, so.
Nice. Thank you.
It's the Navy calling.
So much fun. Jim?
For the last 14 years, we've had the 4 chaplains, and I'm gonna take a pause this year. Well, I'm not gonna have a service because of some personal things in my personal life I need to take care of. And I'll skip next year and we'll have a good one the following year. But the memberships in the Legion of Honor is still continuing. There's a number of folks that are gonna be nominated and I've had one accepted. And those services will take they'll take some point in the future. We'll get an appropriate gathering of veterans or community and we'll honor those folks as they should be. I apologize to anyone that might have been expecting that, but the circumstances just turned out that I can't do it next year. Jim Barnett, he bowed out, and I don't blame him. At the age of 91, he's probably eligible to do that. And anyway, next 2026 will be a good one. Also, I applied, I think Larry did, and I think Carol did, applied for the advisory board of ODVA. There's 2 vacant seats if anyone wants to apply. I know we tried to cheer on Mel Cheney and we thought he was a shoo-in, but for some reason he wasn't. So it's kind of,
It wasn't because his connection to me
oh my.
and the director at the time, so the current director was very favorable when I talked to her about your application. So, we'll see.
So I'll see how that develops. I've attended that meeting a number of times and they're very interesting, educational. You get a good feel of what's going on throughout the state, so we'll see if it happens. Anyway, if anybody else wants to apply, it's easy to do online.
Rick, did you have something?
I did, I wanted to mention that a few of us here were able to take our living history into Roseburg High School about 3 weeks ago. And I think we met with about 1,100, 1,200 students, and they are all so very respectful. They were, engaged in what we had to say. And Bren and Alicia, the teachers there, are just amazing. They want their students to listen firsthand to some of the experiences that some of us went through. And I got an email yesterday. In fact, some of us did that they wanted to bring some of us in individually for to be speakers in some of the other history classes. So it's really neat that that's going on here in this area.
Thank you for
A
that.
number of years ago, we had a teacher at Roseburg High who invited us in and we also recommended him as Teacher of the Year through the VFW program. I recommended him, and he got accepted for the whole state of Oregon as the VFW Teacher of the Year. He didn't make the national, but he was honored that, we gave him a award up in Salem, and then the program kinda died for a while, didn't it, Rick? I mean, when he transferred, the enthusiasm died along, but now these two wonderful ladies are really, really gonna have it going again.
We're gonna be in Sutherland in March, and we've got contact with South Umpqua and Douglas now with the program where we actually put the wall in school.
That's
It's gonna be a busy time, good.
excellent.
Wow.
I think we're reaching close to our time, so meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.